Well, I don't see myself.
For a minute you were on.
Oh,
Okay, Bonnie, why don't you start with the video that we made
Sure.
about the tour with Chef Yan?
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share the screen.
And hi,
Uh,
everybody, I'm Valerie and that's Bonnie.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, can you guys all see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, not
Some-
like I'd have to go back into the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, now I see it.
Okay.
Like that.
You have the
Martin,
audio
are you
on?
there?
Is the audio going?
The audio's not on, Bonnie.
It's not going? Okay, hold on. I'm hearing the audio on my end. Hold on. Okay, let's see. Let me try this again. Can you guys still see the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just wondering if Martin or Susan Yan were able to hear us.
I'm here. Martin's coming over.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
shall we wait for Martin?
No, he's coming up the stairs. He'll be here.
All right.
I'm just seeing, I don't know why you guys can't hear the audio on this.
Susan, when it says 13 participants.
You don't hear this playing at all?
No?
Don't hear it, can see it.
Maybe you try to hit that audio button, Bonnie.
Mm,
Recording in progress.
Hello.
Okay, hi, how are you,
I'm not
Martin?
sure why this one's not going.
Just click the little icon just to test it on the bottom left. On the bottom left.
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
sometimes that helps.
100%.
Okay,
I don't know if it just has to do with the way that Zoom is set up.
okay.
Okay, but I'll start it from the beginning. We'll perhaps have to do it without audio, but we could always share the video along with the link to this.
So not having start.
This is our Villa Il Pozzo.
Beautiful.
And that's the main terrace looking out. It looks out straight to San Gimignano, which this view is the same since the Renaissance. It hasn't changed much. This is the common room up in the villa. And inside of the villa, we have about 12 different apartments. So everybody's going to have their own apartment, and you have like a kitchen area, sitting room, bedroom, and bathroom. So you have a lot of privacy, you have a lot of space, but yet you're still sort of in the same building, and you can sit in the common area, and if anyone plays the piano, that would be nice too. We have a top bus company that we use with top drivers. It's very comfortable. We're going to be going to Florence and Pisa, guided tours, San Gimignano, Lucca, which is really becoming a favorite with the groups, Siena, and Volterra.
Okay, sorry.
And we're going to have some amazing local Tuscan dishes. And we have Chef Mauro, which is our main chef, and he's going to be creating with Chef Yan. He's got some secret recipes, and everything, all the ingredients are locally sourced, and it's farm to table, basically. We're going to have a lot of wine, learn how to taste it. We have an olive grove tour. We're going to do a cooking class. Everybody that we're going to be meeting and working with on the tour are the top people in the countryside in Chianti, and they are passionate about what they do. These are our live musicians that we have. This is the Asta group from October, and I was selected to represent Tuscany for the American Society of Travel Advisors, which Debbie Yu is a member of, and that's how she came to find me. And this is my team. And so we have a wine expert, a chef, a tour leader and guide, and we all deliver you the authentic Tuscan life. And we experience it while staying in this gorgeous villa. When you look at the villa on the right-hand side and you see that tower, that was built in 1000. And Donato, the wine expert, he also researched the history of the villa and the area, and it's really interesting to learn about. So when everybody arrives, we have a welcome dinner, and we sit looking out on the vineyard, sipping the wine from that vineyard, and we learn about the history of the area and about the tour we're going to have, and we meet everybody. And it's a really nice moment. And as many times as you can see a photo of the hillside, when you step off the bus and you look out the first time, it's absolutely breathtaking. And everybody has the same reaction every time. It's really incredible. And for me, I'm lucky enough to get to work there, and I get so used to seeing it, but every time I arrive, it still takes my breath away. And I think once you experience it for yourself, you'll see what I mean. So we're starting the tour in Venice and Parma, and we have a really wonderful hotel. It's very special. There's a family in Venice that owns Palazzo Stern, Hotel Chiara, and Vivaldi Locanda. So we chose Vivaldi Locanda, which is on the lagoon and has the most beautiful view of Venice. It's a really special place to stay. And our group that just finished last week just absolutely loved everything. And one of the ladies that was on the tour that decided to host her own tour and wants to bring all their friends and family back, she said to me, she's like, Valerie, I don't know what I loved more, whether it was the squid ink pasta or the private boats going through the canals and the glass factory. And there was just one thing after another, and everybody was really happy with it and really surprised. We have live music there. Everything was selected for us. When we leave, we take a special boat ride out and then meet the bus, and we go to Parma. In Parma, we get to do the Parmesan tour as well as the prosciutto tour. And today I had lunch with an owner of the restaurant, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Sopranos HBO series. So the actor that played Vito, he's doing a Sopranos tour with me. So we've been meeting in restaurants in New York and eating all this great food and having fun. And the owner of the restaurant said, you know, I was just in Parma and I saw the big wheel of cheese and tasted it and the prosciutto, and he was so enthusiastic. He just loved it. And it's really a unique experience because most people don't get to go into the factories. and they don't get to try it and learn about it. And what we did, which this owner was really interested to hear because he wasn't able to do this, we've arranged for our group to have a special lunch using the Parmesan. So we get to enjoy that. And then we stay at the Mercure Hotel in Parma. And I think Parma is a really amazing and sort of like falls under the radar in Italy. You don't really hear people talking about it a lot, but the food is phenomenal. There's a beautiful cathedral in town. Our hotel is fairly new, and there's a lot. There are shops, there are cafes, there are restaurants. So when we pull in to Parma in the morning, we do the cheese tour, the prosciutto tour, we have our lunch, we check into the hotel, and then we give everybody free time. So whatever you prefer to do, you can choose to do, and you've got plenty there. And so that's nice. And the next morning, we get up and we head to Tuscany. So that's, if you go through the brochure, some people like to read and some don't. So I'm just kind of walking us through. And there's Chef Jan. Oh, by the way, when we're in Venice, I was mentioning to Susan and Martin that I recently on this past trip came to learn that the first sommelier in Italy was a Chinese Italian gentleman, and he lives in Venice. So we're going to be meeting him and have a presentation from him, which should be really interesting. And our tour guide there is really excellent as well. When we get into Tuscany, we've got a lot in store and we have a full week. So we will have the chef at the villa. We will have the cooking class at the villa, but then we sort of have a schedule. We always have a chef's breakfast there. And then after breakfast, we get on the bus and we head out. So the first day when we arrive, one thing that people like, and it's up to you if you want to choose it, we bring in a massage therapist to the villa. So Bonnie handles the schedule, and we get people on the schedule, and for about 2, 3, or 4 days during the week, you can choose to book the massage. And it's very therapeutic. It's heavy duty. It's not something just light. And she comes to your apartment in the villa and sets up, so you have complete privacy. And I can tell you, after traveling, it's a nice thing to treat yourself to. So we do that, and then early evening we have our welcome sort of aperitivo service and a lot of appetizers. And what we love to do is just have this grand assortment of all types of local delicacies, from pate to different types of quiches and the prosciuttos, the cheeses. We do different stages of the fresh pecorino. So it's just a total taste sensation. And after that, we are going to do a Tuscan lasagna, which has bechamel sauce, which is really lovely. Usually by that time, with the traveling and everything, people kind of sort of retire. But what's nice is we have the whole interior of the villa. If people want to play cards, have a drink, sit around, talk. If you want to sit outside and look at the hillside, we have the privacy of the entire estate. So that's for us. And if you want to wake up in the morning and just take a hike, walk around the pool, sit by the pool, whatever, it's just for our group alone, which is really nice. And the next day, we have San Gimignano. San Gimignano is one of the local medieval towns, and we have a nice tour there. We are having a little bit of a shift in the itinerary. So even if it says day 2, San Gimignano, we kind of, every time we do another tour, as many times as we've done them, when we see things work better for a group doing it a different way, we kind of shift things around. So we started doing on day 2, the cooking class. And in the morning, we give people a little more time to settle in. And after breakfast, we go down to the winery and we have a vineyard tour, an olive grove tour, and the winery tour along with the wine tasting. And that's with our wine expert, Donato. And he's an expert in the olive grove and with the soil, with the pruning. And so it's really educational and interesting, but it's also a lot of fun and very relaxing, because while you're there, you want to learn about what the Tuscan life is all about. And our tour is about immersion. And our focus, having Chef Yan, is going to be a lot of immersion into the culture, dealing with food and wine, and then the fusion of the Chinese food and how that will relate to the ingredients we're using. And you're going to find this woven into everything all week. And the cooking class comes after our wine tour. And that's when Chef Yan is going to start creating. We do 2 types of fresh pasta. So we're going to also do, I would think, the noodles for Chinese style. But, that's going to be his surprise and how he coordinates and so forth. And then we also have the tour of the city of Florence. We do a walking tour, which is really nice because as you look at everything from the Medicis, from the Middle Ages, you learn how the city was built, how the banking system was developed. And it's very interesting, and you sort of get a lay of the land. And then we allow you to have time that you could sort of discover on your own. And what we started to do is offer all the guests the choice of adding a museum visit. So you can decide that you want to go to the Uffizi. On our last tour, we had someone that was her big dream, to see the Uffizi. And she recruited about 4 other people to go with her. And we got them their own guide, and they had their own side tour of the Uffizi. Other people wanted to see the statue of David, and some people just wanted to get a gelato or eat pizza. So you kind of have the free time to decide. But what we like to do is customize what your options are. And what Bonnie is great at is supporting all of that. So our tour leader is Virginia. She's one of the top guides in the main cities of Florence, Pisa, Volterra, Lucca. But on top of being a top guide, what I found in her, which was much different than anyone else I had worked with, is she had a really good sense of business, and she had a wonderful way of dealing with the clients. And she likes to bring her life and her way of growing up in Pisa into what she talks about and how she translates all the information. And she's really lovely. And she works with everybody the whole week. So every city we go to, and so whatever everybody wants to do, even though we sort of have a mapped out plan, we learned that the best thing we can do to support everybody is to give you options within that, so that whatever you want to do. Some people have been to Florence, but they haven't had a guided tour. Other people might have been to the David, but didn't go to the Duomo Museum. So whatever that is, that's what I think our specialty is customizing everything for you and supporting you. And then we always have a meal that either we have the meal out in a restaurant or back at the villa, we have a chef's dinner. And what we do is we coordinate everything that we're going to be eating throughout the whole week, so that we don't repeat the menu, and you get to try a wide array of all the specialties of the countryside of Tuscany. And so this is something that everybody has enjoyed. And the interesting part of it is people have been eating a lot on the tours. But with all the walking and the fact that it's local and there aren't chemicals in the food, it seems like you leave there losing weight with as much as you've had. So that's an interesting thing that I think everybody's going to discover. And, you know, again, we have all this wonderful wine with it. Oh, Bonnie, just go back to the itinerary. I just
Yes.
want to like mention some of the cities. So Lucca is really a highlight of the tour. It's a long sort of walking tour. No, you can come up, Bonnie.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to stay on the written part. Thank you.
Mhm.
So the Lucca walking tour, after the tour, we get to have a little bit of free time. There are some shops and cafes. From there, we're going to a medieval city called Santa Maria a Monte. And since the beginning of this medieval city, they never had a tour bus pull up until ours did. And the reason was because Virginia's mom and dad live in this medieval city, and her mom is the gelato maker for the town. And there's a restaurant that was opened called Ambronera. And recently I brought the whole team, when I arrived in Tuscany in April, I brought the whole team together for dinner. And most of them haven't been there. And Donato, the wine expert, said, "Why are we coming to Santa Maria a Monte?" And then when we had the food, he said, "This restaurant could be in Rome, Milan, the center of Florence." He said, "I can't believe it." It's really a specialty type of place. They're very proud of their Lucca traditions. And so we have local Lucca food, but really well done. And when we were there, they were so excited to learn that Chef Jan is coming, that they're going to bring the mayor of the town and the newspaper and have a ceremony. And Chef Jacopo wants to invite him into the restaurant to co-create. And I think this is going to be a lot of fun, not only for Chef Jan, but for us as well, because the ingredients are phenomenal. And what's great about the restaurant is they keep bringing out one dish after another dish after another dish, and people can never believe how much food is coming in and how much wine they serve. But that's the whole point of being there, that we get to enjoy all of this. And it's a lot of fun, and it's a very warm environment, and it's a family-owned place, and you get that feel of the local medieval city with family run. And then Virginia's mom makes us a special gelato sundae herself. And then we sort of float back on the bus back to the villa, and everyone seems to crash. After that, and the next day we go to Pisa. We take the tour of the Miracle Square, and you have that walking tour and see the Leaning Tower. After we go to the Bocellis, I've been friends with the Bocelli family now for about 6 or 7 years. And I first came to know their mom and used to eat with her when they opened up their family restaurant. And she just passed away last week. And I spoke with Andrea's nephew and his brother. And I think she had been sick for a while because I haven't seen her at the restaurant, but they kind of kept it private. And so anyway, they're really a warm family, and the wine service there is not anything particularly special as a presentation is when you go into one of the boutique wineries. But what it is the whole experience of the Bocellis, which is a huge part of the culture in Tuscany, and he's really world renowned. And we get to go up in his museum and see his piano and all his artifacts. His mom saved everything from the time that he grew up. And you hear the music and take pictures and meet the family. And it's just a nice, fun experience. After we return back to the villa and we have a nice chef's dinner. Another day, recently, what we did was we found this incredible winery which up until 7 years ago was owned by the Vatican. And it's inside of a forest. And so the man that owns it has a truffle hunting dog, and they cook all different specialties, and the wine is really amazing. And he's also an expert in balsamic vinegar. And the tour is incredible, and it's just amazing. I mean, I've been in Tuscany for over 10 years, and I lived there part-time, and I wasn't even familiar with this particular place, and it's just incredible. I was really amazed by it and by the level of knowledge. And this owner won first place in Europe for his olive oil in a blind taste test. So it wasn't of Tuscany, it wasn't of Italy, it was in all of Europe. He won first place for his olive oil. And I thought that's really incredible. So it's interesting. They have peacocks there. He was a veterinarian. And so the whole experience is just really phenomenal. And you just sort of fall into the natural environment of Tuscany. We also are going to be doing a tour of Siena. It's a guided walking tour. We're going to see the Palio. We're going to see the cathedral. We're going to have live music that night with another chef's dinner. And then the next day after breakfast, then we have the extension to Rome, which some people are booked on, or if you choose to leave after Tuscany, then you have the transport to the airport. So we kind of like, day by day, go through the program and sort of modulate it so that when we have a longer day where you have more walking, then the next day we sort of have a little bit of an easier day. And so I think you'll find that it goes at a very good pace. When we do a major city tour like Florence, if we have any guests that have some mobility issues, just would prefer not to walk so much, we split the group up and we bring in a secondary guide who can then go at their pace. So whatever anybody needs at any time, we're there to help you. Typically now, I stay back from the tour because I manage things from another perspective and make sure that everything's on track. In case anybody needs assistance, we even had one guest on the last tour, and I noticed she had difficulty walking. Some of the cities we are going to, like even Lucca, have the original stone pavement, and it's difficult to walk on. So you really, when you plan to pack for the tour, need to have comfortable sneakers, comfortable shoes that can really absorb. And you want to have a pair of slippers for when you're in the villa, because it's all the cold kind of tile on the floors, and you want to be able to do that. And somebody, after being in Lucca, her legs swelled up a lot. And I said to her, you can't go the next day and try to get on the bus and sit and try to walk with the swollen legs. So I took her into the pharmacy in our town and had her fitted for the orthopedic stockings, and they weren't even expensive or anything. She woke up the next day and she did the entire walking tour through Florence, and then on the break did more walking herself. And she said it was a miracle. It really helped her. So anything that anybody needs, we're really happy to help. Another thing that we do that Bonnie specializes in is, as we're coming closer to the tour, we help you with tips in what you need to bring, how we suggest packing. Everybody is allowed to have one suitcase and one carry-on. And so you can't have more than that because we have limitations on the buses. Everything is planned for. We even in Venice have porterage. So when you arrive, we help to get everybody, like when we come from the hotel to get to the boat to leave, we have somebody that we pay just to handle the bags so that nobody has to be walking across the bridge carrying things. And we plan all of these little pieces in every single detail. So when you're on the tour, everything is done for you, everything is delivered to you, and you sit and enjoy it. But all the background work is done, and we help prepare you before that time. And you'll get emails from us, even, for example, for the COVID testing. We have a doctor that comes in, or on this last tour, we brought the guests to the ambulance corps that recently was doing the testing. So we change around however it needs to be done, we get that done. Recently, what happened too, there were a whole bunch of flights canceled leaving Florence. So right before people were supposed to leave the next morning, they had no flight. We were able to get a last minute bus to Rome. And we got them there safely, and they got the new flight that was given to them. So what I suggest is, before anyone books their flights, if you have any questions as far as how the flights route and how you do your flight, I think it's very important. There were a lot of people who wanted to use points for their tickets and ended up in, let's say, Swiss Air. When there was a problem, Swiss Air only has one flight coming into Florence. There are no other options. And Swiss Air told the guests, well, there's a problem. If you want to leave, you're going to have to go to Rome. And then that expense fell on the guests. So the main people that fly in and out of Florence, the number one is Air France and also KLM. And they're Sky Team with Delta. So myself, I always fly in Delta, and I always go through Paris because right now they have difficulty going through Amsterdam with the TSA passport control. And there have been lines for 3 to 5 hours, and people have missed their flights, and they still have not corrected that. So if you haven't booked your flight, there are a lot of considerations to make. You can email me personally at any time, because I'm going in and out of Europe in all types of flights. And I'm familiar with, even if you fly United, usually the flight through Munich, I've never really seen a problem with that. So that's something that's okay too. I just want to caution you to just be careful about using points and about limiting yourself with a provider that has limited service, because Florence is a small airport. So it's just something that's good to consider. And, as we do more and more tours and coming out of the pandemic, where things are starting back up again, some things have changed. This is the stuff that I'd like to tell everybody, because it's stressful to travel in the first place. So we try to make it as easy on you as possible. Even about exchanging money, where you can use an ATM when you arrive in the airport. All the cities we have, even our town, you can have money from the ATM. It's the cheapest way to go, and using a credit card without international fees. So these are little things. We inform you about everything. I know that Debbie has been doing a great job with helping everybody as far as insurance information and, different information too. And she's the travel expert. So also reach out to her. If you have not purchased the travel insurance, I highly suggest it. Even if you can't foresee anything happen, things happen. And on every single tour, no matter what, we have lost, at least 2 people from being able to make the trip for whatever, health issue happened or whatever. As long as you have the insurance, you can get reimbursed for it. And our documentation that we provide to you is everything that you need to file a claim. So I just want to take a second to mention that. Bonnie, you can go up to Rome.
Yeah.
After Tuscany, then we have a Roman extension, and we have a 4-star hotel. We chose a new hotel in Trastevere. It used to be a convent that was reconstructed into like a boutique style hotel. And we like the location for it. And we're really excited about that change. Before, the other hotel we were at was a little bit near the Coliseum, but this is a little bit more quiet and a little bit more nicer than originally. Anyway, we have a wonderful tour guide, Bernadetta, who's friends with Virginia. She used to be a guide in Tuscany and had moved to Rome. So we do the main, you could stay there, Bonnie.
Oh, yeah.
Just come back. We do the guided tour of the Colosseum, Curia Imperiale, Piazza Venezia. So we go through all Trevi Fountain. Now, the nice thing about it is that we have the private van driver, because it's very difficult to bring in and very expensive to bring in big buses into Rome. So what we do is we have the smaller transport, even if we need to split it up for a few, and we take you to each location. So you may walk around while you're at the location, but you're not having to walk through the city or really having to pound the pavement, which is nice. This way, you get to see more. As you're going from one location to the next, you get educated about the meaning behind everything, how the city developed, and you get a really nice perspective. And so the first day is those kind of highlight sightseeing tour, and the next one is the Vatican Museum. Now, in the Vatican, you have to actually be a licensed guide for the Vatican itself. And so everything that we do is always using the top people who are certified in that particular thing. And so this just gives you some of the highlights. And then afterwards, on the last day, you have breakfast, and then you get taken to the airport by the transfer. Bonnie, you can go down to the next pictures. And these are some people that you're going to meet during the tour. In the middle, you see Chef Mauro. Above him is his tiramisu. And today I was showing the brochure to the actor from Joe from The Sopranos and the restaurant owner. And I had 2 tiramisus in New York this week, and I couldn't finish any of them. They were just terrible. I got too spoiled on the Tuscan mascarpone, and you could see the yellow color of the tiramisu from the eggs. It's so light and creamy, and there's just nothing like it. So from now on, I'm not even ordering any more tiramisus in New York because it's just not going to cut it. But you guys are going to make that, and you're going to be able to make stuff in the cooking school and be able to come home and replicate it. And it's a lot of fun. And you're going to be out in the vineyard. That's Donato there on the bottom right. You're going to be in the wineries with the wine tastings and the wine pairings. And you're going to start to develop a palate because you're going to learn what you're tasting, how to taste it, and how to pair it with food. And so everything we do is a bit of an education. And for people who don't like to drink a lot of wine and maybe just want to taste it, we also do olive oil tasting as well. And there are lots of different like truffle olive oil and different things. So there's a wide variety. There's something for everybody on the tour. We try to give you a broad perspective. And that's pretty much the general overview of the tour. Debbie, do you have anything that you think I should cover that I did not cover?
Yeah, I do have some items that people might want to know about. You mentioned the massage therapist. What is the fee for that?
It's $125 for an hour.
Okay.
But it's a therapeutic massage. So what happens is it's not something light. It's really nice. And most of the people that have gotten the massage typically book a second one during the week. So that'll just tell you the quality of it.
Okay. Now let's see. There is one cooking class, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We do, just so you know what we do during the class, we're going to actually bake a Tuscan bread, which is dark green. It's not a pumpernickel, but it's kind of their version of a pumpernickel. And it's delicious. And we do a hot appetizer. Sometimes they do stuffed zucchini flowers, which is my favorite. Then you do 2 types of pasta, usually tagliatelle, and then the other one is raviolis, stuffed with spinach and ricotta. And they do bolognese sauce for the tagliatelle, and for the ravioli, butter and sage. And then after that, typically we like to do the pork roast, because that's the most popular one. And you learn how to do the herbs around the roast. And that's when you have the Tuscan bread with the meat. And we have wine throughout, and water, and it's a lot of fun.
Was there going to be was that class going to be located in a different location?
We
Different villa?
started to do it in the villa, because when people arrived the next day, by doing the vineyard tour and the olive grove tour, that gave people a chance to really be out in the vineyard and learn about that. And then coming up to the villa and doing the cooking class there, people really loved that. Rather than getting on a bus every single day, it was really a nice way to do it. And because the chefs were set up for breakfast, it was a nice transition that by the time we come up from the winery, that everything's set up to start doing the class. So that's how we're doing it now. And it worked out really well.
Okay. Transfer times for arrivals and departures. I think you were going to maybe schedule, well, like for departure from Rome, 2 transfers to the airport after breakfast. So there was one person who had a very early flight, and she would have to take care of that herself. I mean, you could arrange it and she would pay that. It was
Yeah.
a 6:30
Debbie,
a.m. flight.
Debbie,
Yeah.
that was me, and I've changed that flight, so it's not so early.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Great.
yeah.
So otherwise, do you know what the transfer times are?
In Florence, the flights kind of get lumped together when they go out, and they're fairly close together. The most difference
For
we have is
arrival?
like arrival or departure. Typically, the most difference we had is like an hour. So we usually do, like you said, 2 shuttles, and depending on what everybody's schedule is, we group them together so that we do 2. So nobody is ever going to wait more than an hour when you arrive. We had somebody at the airport, and they had coffee and a cornetto crema and had time to go to the bathroom, and then were escorted to the bus, and then the next person came in. So it was kind of seamless. We've never had any issues of that.
Okay, there is one person coming into Pisa.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll take care of that. We'll manage to have the pickup done.
Okay. and then
Typically, we
the-
just do it out of Florence, but it's, we can manage whatever, people booked. If that was an easier transfer, that's fine.
Okay, so, but you'll arrange for the Pisa transfer, and the couples that are coming into Venice the night before,
Mhm.
then how is their transfer being arranged?
Well, what we're going to do is our team, so Virginia and I think even Maudo may be coming. We're going to rent an apartment in Venice for about 10 days. So when we finish our tour in September and everybody leaves, they're like from the 1st to the 4th of October is when they're there. We have a couple days in between, and then your tour comes in. So the people that come in earlier, we're actually going to go to pick you guys up at the airport or at the train station, however everybody comes in. I'm assuming it's at the airport. But we're gonna go there and then escort you to the hotel.
Okay, and I know there was some discussion of a couple of times about the cost of the pre-night in Venice, and you were working with the contract for the hotel.
Yeah, and the thing is that what happened in Venice, which is very crazy, is the prices have skyrocketed astronomically, like unbelievable. There's no other city in the world that can get away with doing what they do. And because we had to wait to get our amount of bookings, we couldn't book until a little later that we had it, because let's say we booked a certain amount of rooms and we were off and those bookings didn't come in, we had to pay for it anyway. So we had to judge as close as we could. We only have one room either way. So it turns out that the price skyrocketed and we were able to get the contracted price that we have for the guests coming in early. But I just flew back from Italy last Thursday and I had a family wedding and I just flew back to North Carolina. And in the meantime, I have an explosion of new tours coming in. So I just need to catch up and I need to catch up with Bonnie. Bonnie's going to bill you and it's fine. I've already paid for everything and I've already wired all the money. It's just a matter of us billing you and letting you know what it is. I just didn't want to make a mistake and rush on something. So we'll get that out. And Bonnie, you can just make a note of that,
Mhm.
we can make sure we get that out as soon as possible. It's one of those items sitting there that we need to do.
Mhm. The COVID testing fee to come back into the United States.
In Italy, they are only charging 15 euros now, which is like $16, $17. They lowered it through the pandemic. And by that time, I mean, I'm sure the US is still going to require it. I mean, but who knows? But it's $15 and we set it up. So we have that done. Whether it's going to be in Rome, whether it's going to be in Tuscany, however, we need it to get done.
Okay. Now, some of the cities have the hotels collect a fee when that is collected at the hotels. And of course, there's porterage. So should we expect for the hotel in Venice and the hotel in Parma and in Rome that there would be a few dollars per night hotel fees?
I'm paying for the porterage. I just added that in myself to make it easy for people rather than say, okay, you owe 5 euros, you owe 10 euros. We're just not going to worry about it. And everything will be taken care of. And this is what we did even on this trip, because we just don't want somebody struggling with the bag and we just paid all the extra money and it's fine.
Oh,
We
so
have-
even the local
Yeah, we-
hotel fees?
Yeah, even the tax, the nightly tax, all of that, I took care of everything. And we hired a company, and this is what's great about the work that Virginia's been doing. We hired a company that let us keep it open as to how many bags, so that if anybody came and struggled or whatever they needed to do, I could pay after. So I'm actually now wiring the final money from last week's finished tour today and tomorrow.
Mhm.
So, but I'm registered as an agency with these hotels and, you know, the family run and corporate businesses throughout these cities and with the villas and all of these. So working at that capacity really helps everybody as our group, because you get a lot of service, you get a lot of things that if you were going to go to Venice and do the trip that we were doing, it would be extremely much more expensive. It would never come in at what we're coming in at. And you wouldn't have the opportunity to have the music and the specialty restaurants. And we have private boats that will be taking us to Murano and Burano. And we're actually going to an art glass factory that is not a factory, but a producer that has artwork in the Uffizi in Florence. And they bring in famous artists that create. And so typically groups go to just a kind of touristic kind of glass blowing facility, and it's sort of basic. This is at the highest level. And so we've got really amazing stuff that we've put together, every detail. And we've been working on this, you know, year round, all week, you know, day and night, and messages and so forth. It's a lot of detail and work that goes into it. But the best part is when we get to see everybody enjoy it and sit back and just get taken through the whole experience. And even today, when I got a call from the lady that was on the tour, and just listening to her comments of how much they enjoyed it and how they felt, her and her husband felt that it was so perfect every step of the way, from the food to what they saw, what they did, the music. Things were unique, things were cultural. And we really got a lot of wonderful comments coming back. So I think everyone's going to really enjoy it, you know, and you could be relaxed about it because at least you know that everything's being done for you and you have the support.
You know, the weather's been kind of crazy lately with, oops, my alarm here, sorry. Anyway, with some climate change. And I remember one time in Italy, it was seasonably hot. And I think that it might have been maybe in the late spring, but in some of the cities, especially the larger cities, the hotels, the public buildings, they don't allow the air conditioning to come on until a certain day of the year. And the same thing with heat, that, you know, you have to wait until that a certain day of the year before they can turn on the heat. So is that still the case?
Yes, it's a law in Italy. They have a lot of regulations for that. And the thing is, though, that typically, sorry, my battery's just going low. Typically, the way that the construction is, like, let's say in the villa, the Tuscan construction keeps the cool in and the heat out and kind of stabilizes the temperature. And the only thing that I suggest is that when everybody packs, that you pack layers rather than a lot of one type of clothes. You just pack different layers so that you can leave in the morning, you know, in a t-shirt or a long sleeve cotton shirt and have a sweater, and then later on take it off and go down to a t-shirt, because throughout the day into the evening, it does vary a lot. But it's hard to predict. This year when I was there in April, it was about 3 weeks before the tour. It felt like it was December. People were walking around in a coat. It was rainy. It was cold. It was miserable. And then that blew out and the warm weather came in. And when everyone arrived for the tour, it was just sunny and warm and perfect. And in the evening, a little chilly. So in October, it can go either way. Usually what happens, it's warm throughout the day, and after 5 o'clock, it starts to get a little chilly. And by 6:30, 6:45, you know, the sun starts to go down and then it's cooler. But the nice thing about our villa is that we have the whole inside space. And so people can stay inside at the tables. They could group themselves together as they like. And it's very comfortable. You don't just, you know, are stuck with the outside terrace.
Okay, going back to Venice just for a moment, there is a large art festival this year in Venice while we're there. So if anyone is particularly interested, that will be there. I can't remember it, if it was every 10 years or not, but anyway, there's a large international art festival that's going on there at that time. Let's see, I do want to remind people that if you have your air schedules, that we still need some addresses, your phone numbers, passport information. I mean, that is for my record keeping and any invoicing, which reminds me about final payments. So when do you need us to make the final payments, Val?
So it should be 4 months before, so that would be September. So that'll be in June, so it's coming up this month. Bonnie, do you have the date on that?
I don't have the specific date. I
I
know it
think
was,
it's
I
the
believe,
middle of June.
yeah, I think it was 120 days before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would just
Well,
have
we'll
to,
send you an email.
Yeah.
Figure like this figure coming up in about the middle of June.
Uh-huh. Okay. If there are any special occasions being celebrated while we're on this tour, then you should let us know as well. Let's see, this recording will be available for us, so Bonnie will send us the link or the address on YouTube, because it will be there after our meeting tonight. So if you have any friends, relatives who are interested, then you can certainly forward them the recording or just ask us any questions.
We
We'll take
still-
care of that.
Debbie, if I can interrupt for a second, we still have space on the tour. We still have space in the main villa, but then we also have the secondary villa. And the secondary villa has a really fantastic view. I stayed there during this tour and it was really comfortable, and they had beautiful roses all around the property, and it's really nice. So if you know of anybody that wants to join the tour, you know, it has so much to offer, and the price point for everything that you know, that is included, and the fact that it's at a private villa estate in Chianti is something that's not being offered by other companies. And even if it were, could easily be double the price. So if you know anyone that ever wanted to go to Tuscany, and maybe there are a lot of people that were tired of sitting around from the pandemic that are just ready to bust out and get out of the country, we'd be happy to add them last minute. So just, you know, let us know and refer them to us.
Mhm. You were getting a little, I mean, because you said, like, for instance, Venice, you had to make that commitment, that, you know, one maybe extra person or less or so forth. So you're kind of running out of space then for Venice and Rome, but we're okay at the villa.
I think Venice, we have a limited 1 or 2 spots depending on how we shift things around. Because sometimes we keep the extra room for me and Virginia, and then we can give that up to guests. So we just have to verify before we can say that another person can come into Venice. Virginia has to verify that. But Tuscany is open.
Where is the second villa that you made reference to? Is it?
It's 3 minutes by car down the road, and it's by the same owner, and it's meticulously kept, and her entire complex is open that week. So we have room even there for another 20, 22 guests.
Okay. And Chef Yan, do you have some questions for this group?
I would like to have a copy of all the meals and also the ingredient that they have around October. So this way I have a feel of what kind of fresh ingredient, produce and fruits that they have. Pasta, of course, is always available all year round, but in terms of produce and
Okay.
fruits and things, I would like to have a list of those with some photographs. And also
Sure.
the menu, the different menu, particularly the one that I'll be involved with the chef for the class. I would like to have that menu with photographs and the ingredient list.
Okay, we'll get that to you, Chef Yan.
Good.
I
Okay.
can get that to you by the end of July because I'm going to be going back there. So
No
I'd
problem.
rather meet with Chef Maudo in person, his assistant chef, and
Yeah.
then go back to Ambernera, to that chef, and just do it in person and
No problem.
coordinate them.
That's good. Yeah, so this way I have a better idea of how to incorporate and how to work with them. I don't want to do something that is totally out of whack, but
Yeah.
because I need to know more about the ingredient. A lot of time, whatever's available in California may not be available there, and whatever
Yeah.
available there may not be available in California. So it would be good to get to know what kind of basic thing that they have, particularly not necessarily, or also the fresh ups in October.
Yeah.
Basically the other things is basically salt and pepper and
Yeah.
cheese and balsamic vinegar and olive oil. But I would like to find out mainly the
Yeah.
produce and the fresh herbs.
Well, I think because this region is so farm to table and so locally grown, what I usually find is it's very standard. So a lot of their fall vegetables are the type of squashes. They're very much into butternut squash, kale, the Tuscan kale. So there's one secret recipe with gnocchi that Chef Maudo does, which the tourist groups love. So that's something. So think of fall vegetables. To me, it matches up a lot with the East Coast fall with, like I said, the squashes, zucchinis, peppers, not really so much eggplant. But if that's something you want to work with, we can incorporate that because they do. I noticed in the spring, there was a lot of eggplant, but I've seen it year round. And like in the springtime, they have more of the artichoke season and they have different like apples are more in season. So in the fall, it's just usually the typical fall items. So
Okay.
I would say like the stuffed zucchini flowers in the cooking class, definitely the bolognese, the roast, they do the locally grown herbs. There's always a ton of rosemary, basil, thyme, all of that in Tuscany is fresh grown everywhere. And they use a lot of it. And they have this special chopping tool for it. So that's stuff that is going to be very available for you. I mean, tomatoes, they pretty much have year round. So what happens in Tuscany is when it sort of comes into the fall and beyond the squash, they'll bring some things from Sicily where it's a little bit of a warmer climate into Tuscany to sort of fill that gap so that you could still get the fresh tomatoes and still get some things like that. But I think the zucchini, I think what you might be interested too, which I really love, is they have this Tuscan round zucchini. And it just has a different consistency than the long zucchini. And I always like to cook with that. So there'll be some different types of things for you to experiment with that I seem to find year round in Tuscany.
Okay, so when you get back there in July, just get me the list of some of those produce and basic, and also the menu. The chef will be presenting, so I can look at the menu. Then I can come up with something Italian, Chinese, or Italian Asian. Using, so I need to figure out what kind of seasoning I have to bring it over there and make it a little bit different. Using the same pasta, the same produce, the same pasta, and create something interesting, but yet match the flavor profile.
Yes, and I find now that I see more ginger, more fresh ginger in the supermarket
Yeah.
year round. And I even saw the dried ginger there now, which a couple of years ago you really didn't see. And they brought like an Asian section and they had soy sauce, they had the kikkoman. And so they're sort of opened up, a little bit more what they offer, which is
Yeah.
interesting.
Good. And ask chef or you drop by one of those supermarket in the Asian aisle to take a picture of what kind of
Yeah.
seasoning they have. So otherwise,
Sure.
I have to bring something over there. So I think they might be available over there.
Yeah.
So and then I don't have to bring everything there. And also, I need to find out at the cooking class that I'm involved. Are they just a demonstration or hands-on with the group?
It's pretty much hands-on. So
Okay,
when we have, the tables, the chefs are spread out within the people and the pasta machines are there and.
Yeah, okay, if that's the case, that I will probably send the knife to the office first, and then they can bring the knife along.
Yeah.
And if they can check in the luggage, it's no problem anyway, because I want them to use the knife that I give it to them, because the knife is not available in a retail store, and it's
Okay.
very well.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, and that'll help a lot. Yeah.
Okay,
There
good.
was I guess there's a large Chinese population in Prato. So I didn't know, well, Prato, or if there's anywhere else besides Certaldo that may have, Chinese groceries or ingredients nearby.
Yeah. How far
Well,
is it from where from the villa?
Well, in the food store is near my apartment and it's only about 10 or 15 minutes out of the hillside from where the villa is.
Okay,
And
good.
so I can take you there yourself
good. Okay.
to look around and pick up something you want that you may eyeball that I don't realize.
Yeah. Well, take a picture, see what they have, then just have a feel. So this way we don't have to bring anything from here.
Sure. We don't want to do that. Yeah.
Okay, good.
And we want to do the local produce. And you know
Right.
what? On Wednesday morning in Certaldo, near the supermarket, they have a local market that comes in and it's all farm stuff.
Oh, good.
And so that's fun too, because I like the difference in what they bring,
Good.
That might, we might need to make a little time for that, instead of heading, I don't remember where we're going on Wednesday, but that would be good to just go to the local market.
Yeah, and you know what? If everybody can feel a little bit flexible with the schedule, I want to review it again and make sure that we're at a good pace and we move things around the way it works best for us. So, we're going to, now that we're back from this tour, also that new winery with the balsamico, and the chef did the truffles with the scrambled eggs. That's a really special place. And I think spending more time there is a really big value, that there's no reason to rush the service there. And Chef Yan, I think you're just going to love the amount of education that you get. It's just really amazing. And you're in the middle of everything being grown or hunted or whatever. So,
because I travel in the last 25 years, I travel all over the world, including river cruise in Europe. And I look forward to joining all of you, and we're going to have a good time and we're going to do something interesting. And I want to make sure that when you have my knife on hand, you can bone a chicken in 18 seconds. I guarantee you will do it after 7 days with me, and then you'll show you how to use the knife that I have. The knife that I have is very much like a French chef knife, except they are slightly wider and shorter. It's not pointed. It's actually very functional. And I use that in all my shows and all my cooking class. And in fact, during the pandemic, I'm actually doing an average about 1 or 2 virtual class that I have audience from 500 to about 10,000 joining
Wow.
me for the class. So I think it would be good to have a small class so everybody can learn how to use the knife and learn how to use some basic Asian, Chinese and Asian ingredient and seasoning, doing all kind of European, particularly Italian dishes. We're
Well,
gonna-
I think
I
Chef
hope we don't
Mauro,
have
most of all,
problems
is gonna
with
be
bringing the
excited.
knife on. I hope we don't have a problem with bringing the knife on the aircraft.
No,
As long as it's in
as
the
long as
checked
you check
luggage.
in, as I check in 2 or 3 knives each time when I travel, just like a chef, they have a bag that they have a set of knives that they always check in. Once you check in, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and Chef Yan will be congratulated for his opening of this new restaurant in Las Vegas later this summer too.
Yeah, actually, I'm opening. I don't know how many of you actually live in the Bay Area. I had a restaurant at Westfield Mall, downtown San Francisco, for 9 years, called MY China. We because of the pandemic, because of the situation with the convention being canceled, and the tourists is not coming, and we happen to be in the 4th floor. We cannot do any takeout, so I'm reopening that in San Francisco Chinatown. So
Nice.
we'll be opening within 6 months.
Yay.
Yeah, within 6 months, I'll be opening 2 restaurants. And when we come back, if you live in the Bay Area, I invite you come, and then we're gonna have a post-Italian, Tuscany get together for dinner.
Yeah.
I'll personally cook for everybody.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Well, we've got somebody coming from Lahaina, Maui. We have someone coming from Montana, and of course, we have a couple of people from the East Coast. So
Yeah.
we have a small group, but we're spread out.
Yeah, I hope this small group know who I am. So
Absolutely.
Does
And,
anyone else have questions?
I have a
Yes.
question, Debbie.
Okay.
Valerie, is there Wi-Fi at the villa?
yes, they have
And is
Wi-Fi.
there Wi-Fi on the buses?
No.
Okay.
in the world, right? Wi-Fi.
Chef Yan, also, in the off season for the Tuscans, when I mentioned that your restaurant was opening in Vegas, they got very excited. And I told them we're gonna have an after party. So I'm actually gonna be renting a corporate rental of an apartment in Vegas for 2 months. And I'm gonna be inviting them at some, certain weeks, and we're gonna
Yeah,
come
good.
to Vegas and throw a party.
Yeah, good. So everybody can come to my restaurant and learn how to make pasta by hand pulled noodle.
Yeah.
We'll teach you how to do it.
Sounds great. We're all excited about it.
Good. We look forward to everybody seeing everybody and having a good time. And I haven't got a chance to really travel out of the country for almost 3 years. So I'm antsy. And it
Yeah.
used to be in the past 20, 30 years, I traveled 250 days a year.
Wow.
Just like our good friend Park Sun-no, Anthony Bourdain, traveled 48 weeks a year. So now I haven't been able to travel. So I actually look forward to this trip. And I love Italian food. My whole family loves Italian food. And I maybe hopefully I can learn more Italian, authentic, traditional Italian food, and then and share with the chef that about some of the Chinese, Asian seasoning and Asian techniques. Because Asian techniques is very complicated, particularly Chinese cooking. So I think it would be fun to work together with the chef and learn something from. I think that the Chinese and Asian, what is lacking is the dessert and the sweet. And I'm quite sure we can learn something from them. At the same time, I think in terms of basic flavor, complexity of flavor, and we can share with the chef and everybody in the group.
And I think a big part of that comes with the production, the local production of their creams and the fact that they don't over sweeten anything.
Yeah.
And so you really get a lot of the natural flavor, and they build their process of how they make things. And they put a lot into the creaminess and the presentation. And I find it interesting that they're able to do that, to make it so delicious without being overly sweet.
Well, the difference is because in many of these places where they're proud of their culinary tradition, that they don't use too much processed product.
Yes.
In America, because of the way the lifestyle here, and people always rushing from one spot to another, from work to here, and most of the time just spending most of the time watching the games every night. But in many parts of the world, they spend a lot more time cooking and enjoying life and drinking, more so than people in America. So I think that's the reason why everything is less processed food, and more home style food. So we try to show people how to do home style food.
Yeah.
Everybody can do at home. So my slogan is "Yan can cook, so can you." So after we do that, everybody can do at home.
I'm excited to learn some new techniques too. My daughter has been growing up in Tuscany, and she's 18 now, but she's been doing cooking classes there since she was about 8 or 9. And she started working in the cooking school with Mauro about 3 years ago every summer for some time.
That's great.
And as a kid, she was making a Tuscan sauce and using the herbs and using her herb chopper and her pasta machine. And she would teach other kids how to do the fresh pasta. And I don't even know how she learned to do everything by grams, because it's a whole different measurement system.
Yeah, metric. The whole world is using metric except the US.
Yeah.
The whole world is using metric.
And I think, at any age, people can learn this and incorporate it into their life, and so it's nice to give everybody that opportunity. Yeah,
good food and cooking brings all of us together, and that's why we're all together in the tour, because it's more a culinary and cultural tour.
Yeah, it's my passion too, and I'm really excited to team up with you and help to bring you here, because I think it's really incredible that some of the things, when you look in the hillside, it's the same view they saw in the 1200s. And the place where they have the Culinary beef, it's the same cattle for 500 years. And it's the ancestors of those cattle. And it's the same cows that are producing the milk that we have. And we only buy for the tour and serve Tuscan products from specialty places. So in Tuscany and pretty much throughout Italy, if you're a specialty in a field, they call it a caseificio. So you could be a pasta caseificio, a cheese caseificio, a bread caseificio, whichever one is your specialty. And we go to all these specialists to buy their products that come from the original places.
Well, just like Top Chef in California, like Thomas Keller of a French Laundry, Alice Water, they're doing the same thing. They only buy local, fresh, local produce and protein and free range chicken, rather than go to the supermarket and buy frozen meat and frozen everything. So I think the chef and the homemaker in many parts of the world still doing the same thing that their forefather, the parent, the great grandparent been doing for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's a lot about tradition.
Yeah. Well, I know when I roasted chicken that I bought at the butcher in my town, and it's called a macelleria, it was very yellow in color. And when I roasted it, it smelled like my grandmother's chicken from the 1970s when I was a kid. There was something about that smell that brought back the memory that I had, and I could see my grandmother in my head. And you can't buy a chicken like that here.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you in Chinatown or in Asian store, you can buy free range chicken And even you buy an organic free-range chicken in a typical supermarket, it costs you about twice as much, because they take a lot longer to raise them rather than show them. They would do it twice as much and let them run around and move around. So the muscle build a lot of texture and flavor. So when you buy into a piece of chicken, or the same reason why wild salmon costs more than farm salmon, everything is different because it's the way they raise and the feed that they use, rather than have a lot of hormone, a lot of antibiotic to feed them. So that's the reason why in Europe and sometimes in some part of Asia, they still do that. And it's free range, let the chicken and the duck and the goose running all over the place. And it's different, it's totally different texture and a different flavor, because they the muscle work it up and build in that the fiber, the tendon. So it's different texture, different flavor profile, much more intense.
Yeah, and actually the chefs on this last tour bought chicken legs to do the chicken cacciatore, and they did the sauce with the fresh olives and the tomato. And when I picked up the chicken leg to bite into it, it was so tender, and it really soaked up the flavor of the onions and tomato and olives in a way that I think typically it rejects when you don't use that same type of meat. This meat absorbed it, and the flavor was really wonderful.
Oh, you're great. Oh, put down. Bring here the Chinese olive and the Chinese olive leaves, and also
if there's a Chinese olive, that would be interesting for you to use, because the chicken cacciatore, if they do it in like a sort of big saucepan, open, and cook it down slowly for a couple of hours. So if you did one of them with the Chinese olives and another one with the Italian olives, that might be an interesting change to get the flavor, the nuance of the flavor.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize the Chinese also have olive, but they're fermented, salt and fermented. And I'll bring some along because I have a feeling that they may not be available there. And also some fermented tofu cheese, the furu, that I probably bring along. That's why I said next time when you get there, take a picture of the aisle and see what they have. So,
sure.
So I don't have to bring too much. I bring a few things that we know that we can find it here, may not be able to find it there.
I think the Chinese olive is a nice, interesting change to the Italian olive, because the Italian olive is such a huge part of their culinary tradition, whether it's from the olive oil, but really in Tuscany, they started cooking a lot more with olives and the local onions, because our town of Certaldo, going back to the Renaissance, is known for the Certaldo onion. And this was written by Boccaccio. So the first time that language was used in a descriptive way was by Boccaccio, talking about the Certaldo onion, and he wrote a story about it. To this day, right down below from the medieval city, the osteria uses the Certaldo onion and makes a creamy, with a fondue of Pienza cheese, a creamy onion soup of Certaldo. And it's the history of that town going back to 1348 when he wrote the story.
History.
Yeah. And it's amazing. They're growing the same onion in the same soil. So you'll be using that onion, because this is something in our supermarket. And if everybody wants to do this, and we actually want to go to the supermarket together to look at the ingredients and learn about it, to me, that's something that is a real cultural thing, because it's specific. If you go to that same Coop supermarket in a different town, the cheeses change, the pastas change, the different herbs change. It's everything there is localized, going back in time. It's incredible. They keep their traditions.
I think it would be good to take the group to one of the local farmers market one day.
Yeah,
Check it
yeah.
out, because we have a farmers market about a mile from our house, and we every Saturday we go there and pick up things. We always love farmers market because it's first you support the local farmers, and you got the freshest and the locally produced one rather than a ship over here from South America.
Yeah, and when I went to the farmer's market, I just told them to keep the rest of the money. And they really appreciated that because it was a gesture. And in Europe, those kind of gestures go a long way. And so when I told him, no, keep the money, don't worry about it, whatever it was, he went and gave me a huge pile of parsley that they picked that day. And I came back and put it in the water and I cooked with it for a whole week. And everything I made was just fantastic with that parsley in it.
Well, that's
That's
good. You
just-
make you give a little bit and people are happy and everybody's happy.
Yeah, it was a really nice feeling and it added that love into every dish, you know? So I look forward to it and thank you so much for coming on to the Zoom. It's nice to meet you and congratulations on your James Beard Lifetime Award. That's
Thank you.
phenomenal. I've been telling everybody in Tuscany about it and about your restaurant, and everybody is so excited to meet you and they feel so honored that you're going to come to their villa, their restaurant, their kitchen. It's really amazing. They're excited to have you.
Well, I'm going to bring a few extra knives to give it to all the chefs.
That would be wonderful. They would love it. They would love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and the
So,
good thing is, I
we
think
look-
that, you know, the requirements for entering and travel in Europe, especially in Italy, have loosened up quite a bit. So, you know, we hope that stays the same in October.
Yeah.
But there's no green card that is
No.
required in most places now. Maybe public buses, maybe, but it's
It's
pretty
all
open.
optional now. It's
Yeah.
become optional.
That's great.
Yeah. So don't forget, even you, Chef Jan, if you have any friends or anybody that, you know, is interested in the culinary tour, invite anyone that you can. The more the merrier. It makes it more fun. And, you know, we look forward to having everyone come, and anytime we can help you with anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me or to Bonnie. And we're happy to help you and get right back to you. Okay.
No problem. We'll spread the word. We'll actually, I'll probably post this on my website and the channel.
Great. All right, we look forward to it and I'll get all that information to you so we could really plan out some fun stuff.
Yeah, good. Very good. Well, look
Yeah.
forward to seeing everybody and dine with everybody and cook with everybody. And maybe you can bone a chicken faster than me after the 7 days or 8 days.
It's
Seeing
a
you
good
bonus
challenge.
chicken, nobody can do it like he does.
I've been doing I told everybody I can challenge Jacques Pepin, Emerald, Bobby Frey, Martha Stewart, Rachel Ray, and all of those people. And because I have done more chicken than any one of them combined.
That's good. All right, well, we look forward to it. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
And,
Look forward to
look
seeing
forward-
everybody.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Go to bed now.